Great day, everybody. Just want to take a brief moment to thank you all so much for making the time to come by to Sui Basecamp today. It really means a lot to all of us. Right after that, I want to thank you both for making the time to be here and joining us on this panel. So, as the MCs teed up for us, we're going to be talking about the future of fandom, and really what it means to raise the bar on engagement for communities. So, figure we start right at the start, and want to begin with you, Caroline. How would you define fan and fandom? And let's just start there.
Sure. So, hi everyone. Thanks so much for having us here. Like we said, I head up our fan engagement team at Red Bull Racing in the world of Formula One. And we are really fortunate. We do have a really global fan base. So we have fans all around the world. And we are constantly looking at how we can put the fans at the heart of everything that we do at Red Bull Racing. And we know that we're a little bit different to certain sports. We know the majority of our fans will actually never make it to a race. So they'll probably never come to a Grand Prix. So we need to think about, when we're looking at fans and looking at fandom, it's about how can we allow fans around the world, wherever they are, wherever they live, to find ways to build an emotional connection with us as a team if they might never actually, attend a race. So for us, it's very much about building a digital ecosystem that will offer opportunities for fans to interact with us and find ways to kind of build a connection with us. That could be through the web, Web 2, Web 3, could be through CRM, could be loyalty, merchandise, social media, whatever touch points we can reach those fans through is really important to us. And we hope that when we're looking at fandom and trying to grow it, we might see fans that interact maybe with one of those channels initially. And we need to find ways to bring them across multiple touch points to start to build a bit of an affinity with us as a team and as a brand. So we probably do look at fandom a little bit differently in the sports sphere to maybe some other teams, because we have to find ways that fans can reach us if they're not actually going to attend the Grand Prix on a Sunday.
100%. That makes complete sense. And for your organization, Mike, how do you all think about that dynamic and that balance between the fans and their level of engagement on the fandom side?
Yeah, I like the way you're phrasing the question. By the way, thank you for having us. I've learned a ton since I've been here, so thank you. I like the way you're phrasing the question because I think fan and fandom, right? Fans is, the way I would think about it is we have 200 million fans around the world, right? We have 80 million fans on social media. And so I think that's where we sort of identify the audience, right? That's the fan. I would say the fandom is really how we're looking at engagement. How are we measuring their passion? How are we measuring their intensity? And really, I think that's a lot of what Caroline said is how are we meeting them where they are? Because they're telling us, right? We're learning more and more every day, and I think technology is going to enable that. Yes. But we're learning more and more every day about how they want to interact with us, and then that is the challenge, right? I love the fact that you said, how many will go to a race. The stat that we use is that 1% of fans will ever actually step foot in Chase Center. So how are we serving the other 99%?
Yes.
Then that is the challenge.
And so following up on that, thinking about engagement in particular, you mentioned that's one of them, how many people are actually stepping foot into the arena. What other ways and metrics do you all look at to get that assessment of how engaged and effectively how deep someone's fandom is relative to other fans?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at listen, watch, attend, follow, bet, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're looking at, I mean, all kinds of things. Number one is what is the easiest one is, I would say, what's your engagement on social media? Okay. But then also we're looking at League Pass, right? How many people are actually tuning in around the world to watch Warriors specific games? How many people are buying merchandise? Who are they? Where are they? And then again, I love this idea that no one likes to be sold to, but we all love to buy things, yes. Right? And so it's really about understanding how you're in Asia and the Warriors just won. Steph Curry just had a big game. How do I serve you up the right message at the right time to the right person? Because if I want to sell you a Steph Curry jersey, that's my best opportunity to do it. And you love the fact that I'm giving that to you because you just got done watching the game. But how do I know that?
Yes, that makes sense. Follow on.
Absolutely. I think what you're talking about, we've really tried to build out from a personalization perspective already with what we do digitally. So we will learn the more that somebody does interact. I've talked through the different touch points that we have and the ways to reach our fans. The more that those individuals do come back, we learn about them and we learn their behaviors. And do they want to come and listen to the podcast when that comes out? Okay, we'll serve them the new podcast when the next episode comes out. Same with, if somebody only interacts via email, we'll make sure that's how we communicate with them moving forward. And I think personalizing the comms based on what we know that fans want and when they want it is really important. And for us, we've kind of gone through a bit of a fan engagement journey over the last 2.5 years when we set up our digital properties to build a loyalty program. And I think in the first kind of 1 to 2 years, we were very focused on growth and acquisition. And then the last maybe 12, 18 months, that shifted a lot into engagement and looking at the engagement metrics. So yes, we'll always want to grow and we want that audience to continue to grow. But we are much more focused now on how many returning monthly active users do we have? How many, are we driving appointments of you with our content? Are we releasing new things that the fans want and speaking to fans to understand what's the latest technology or what are the latest features they might want to see? So I think we've specifically focused a lot more on engagement now rather than just pure acquisition. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to see those numbers grow considerably, which is absolutely what we want.
100%. And you made a statement earlier about the global base that you all have as fans, and you all also have a very global base. And so when thinking about things like the paddock and the other initiatives you all have put in place, what sort of challenges did you identify and think about how you overcome those to make these people feel involved, feel engaged, feel connected, despite the nuance in this person's in this region, the culture over here is different? Can you talk to us a bit about that?
Sure, yeah. I think this is something that will never change for us. That's never going to be a problem that goes away. We're always going to have a really global audience. And some of our key markets are actually in total opposite sides of the earth. So we have to really consider our timing, our communication, what we're saying to the different fans and how we're personalizing it. We've built within the digital world quite a smart model to do that. So whether it's just kind of localizing things, translating things, speaking to different people at different times, that we have that built in already. But I think we need to take that to the next level and utilize the technology that we do have to be even more specific and more localized to different markets. We're quite uniquely positioned as a team. So we have multiple homes. We're based in Milton Keynes, which is about 2 hours outside of London for anyone that's lucky enough to have visited. We are an Austrian team, so we're owned by Red Bull master brand. So we have routes to Austria. We've got drivers from Netherlands and Mexico. So we have lots of bases around the world that we can choose to have home moments, if you like, across our Grand Prix calendar, which is great because it gives us multiple opportunities to link with different markets. And also, I touched on it, we're obviously owned by Red Bull energy drink. And for those of you that haven't been outside and tried one from the fridge, please do so. But we get the opportunity to work with the Red Bull markets. So say we just come back from the Grand Prix in Japan. We can work with the Red Bull Japan market to activate and do something localized in that market. Or if we're going, we're off to Miami in a couple of weeks' time, we'll work with Red Bull North America to deliver something there. So we can work with the bigger ecosystem that we have at our fingertips to be able to try to localize and understand the markets more. But it's always going to be a challenge. We've always got to find ways to speak to people around the world in different ways. And it's one that hopefully technology can continue to make easier for us.
We would like to work with Red Bull too.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's make it happen. There we go. You heard it here first.
Ryan, Jamil, we got to get on that. Need follow-ups. So to your point of this being a perpetual challenge, likewise, trends are always changing. Technology is always moving forward. So curious from you all's side, Mike, how do you all look out into the future and what sort of trends are you noticing now? And what sort of steps are you taking to prepare for some of these adjustments as it relates to fans, fandom, and engagement?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, right? Like I think sports is pretty steeped in tradition, but sometimes you can have this tradition v innovation, right? And so I think we're constantly walking that line of how do we stay true to what the fans have always wanted, but at the same token, we're needing to understand how to engage the next fan, right? I always like to think through the lens of my 12-year-old daughter who, takes in sports and takes in content way different than me,
Yeah.
right? She's that first generation that is full digital first. She doesn't know a world that is unconnected. So if I'm not solving for me anymore, right? I'm solving for her, and I'm solving for those that are like her. And so as we think about those trends, we absolutely just have to be digital first in most cases, not only because of the 99%, but also that 99% expects to be connected with differently than a previous generation. And then the second thing I would say to that is, when we look at trends right now in North American sports, right, we're seeing far more direct to consumer. So we're seeing distribution, content distribution, come back towards teams. And so as you think about the future of our business, I think it's gonna change rapidly. And then the last thing I would say is, although we're still working through it in the state of California, sports betting is ultimately changing how fans engage with the content.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting, that last part on the sports betting, because I think there's a lot of interesting patterns that emerge from the psychology when you see these trends where culture meets financialization, and crypto has been an incredible landscape to watch that happen in a more overt and direct way. But I think it stems from the culture of betting in a lot of ways. Same question for you, Cass.
So absolutely echo a lot of what Mike said in terms of the digital first mindset. That's something that just has to be there. It's paramount. We've seen, and actually to your point of 1% might step into the Chase Center, we'd probably say, we talk about F1 for the 90%, and we don't really know if that's a 90% or a 99%, but we know that there's a lot of fans that won't make it in person. So I think from a trends perspective, AR and VR are going to continue to grow and become more and more important for us to be able to offer. We've done a little bit in the augmented reality space already with F1 and creating kind of virtual walking around the garage, looking through your phone and things like that. But I think the opportunities within that space are really exciting, to be able to allow fans around the world to experience the thrill of a race, see the inside of a paddock, from sat on their sofa at home in an actual realistic way. So that's really exciting. And I think there's also a lot of opportunities that we can work with yourselves from a blockchain perspective of utilizing blockchain technologies to continue to enhance our fan experience. So whether that's from a security perspective in our ticketing world, to continue to authenticate tickets, or proof of attendance. A lot of the F1 world is about being seen, and it's about showing that you were somewhere. If you get a ticket to the race in Miami, it's a very cool thing to do, and you want to be able to shout about it. So potentially using technology to continue to develop, whether it is proof of attendance or other ways of showcasing that you were at a race. I think there's opportunities for technology to continue to work for us.
Yes, and even as recent as late last year, we did a collaborative drop together to celebrate the astounding season that you all had. And even that is a augmentation of past trends and people collecting from this season, or a certain player hitting a record or something of that nature. But when you get involved and you're assessing and you're working with these different tech stacks, and blockchain in particular, what were some of the friction points that you may have encountered on the front end, or some of the maybe hesitations to get deeper into that exploration?
Sure, yeah. It's a really good question. I mean, we're probably 2 to 3 years into a Web3 journey as Oracle Rebel Racing. It's probably twofold, right? There's probably like an internal challenges, friction work stream, and then there's the external stuff with our fans and the audience. From an internal perspective, it's new. So anytime we bring in new technology, there's probably an education piece that you need to do outside of maybe the immediate marketing team that might be close to this and understanding the technologies. So whether that's for your finance team, for your legal team, understanding the new technology that we're bringing in and what we're trying to achieve with it was probably a little bit of a friction point for us initially. And then externally, when we're looking at what we're wanting to give to our audience and who we're targeting, it's once we've understood what we want to do from an internal point of view, we need to recognize that not everybody and not all of our fans are going to know the world of Web3 yet. And if we're talking to our audience who maybe aren't necessarily your crypto natives and very embedded with the world of crypto or Web3 or NFTs or whatever that might be, then we need to ensure we're offering the right level of education so that they understand the technology and they know what they're buying into. And I'd say those are probably the two challenges that we faced, and I think we've been reasonably successful in terms of overcoming them. But I don't think that goes away. It's not the type of thing that you do once. You need that continual reminder and education piece. But it's certainly something that we make sure we build in anytime we have a new launch.
I think part of what allows you all to move as quickly as you have is that the origins of your organization is technical in nature,
Correct.
which is a little bit different from Golden State. Nevertheless, you all are, if not the, one of the most technologically forward companies in the entire league. Can you talk to us just a bit about, I know this is a little derivation, but how you all arrived at that place and how it's benefited you all in so many different facets being so tech forward?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of necessity is the mother of invention, right? And so I think it started with us understanding that this is where we ultimately needed to get to. We also, as your point, we are in the tech hub of the world, and so there is a certain amount of just built-in, like you all need to be at the front, right?
Yes.
But I think, look, at the end of the day, we're a basketball team, and then we became a sports and entertainment company, but we're not a technology company. But so I would say that when we say friction, I would say one of our challenges was how do we build these muscles that maybe are not necessarily innate. And so we have built out a technology team, and I know you have met with them.
Yep.
So we built out a technology team with the understanding that we wanted to move from mass marketing to audience segmentation to ultimately being able to get to as close to a one-to-one marketing as you could get, right? And I think what we decided was to start with a really powerful application that we built from scratch with the understanding that if you wake up in the Philippines and you have our app, your user experience has to be different than if you live in San Francisco and you're attending the game that night, right? You wake up in the Philippines and then it says, "Are you attending tonight's game?" That's not a great user experience, right?
Yeah.
At the same token, if you open up the app and you live in San Francisco or you're visiting San Francisco and I know you're going to the game, how I interact with you at that moment is going to be different. Am I offering you upgrades? Am I offering you parking? Am I offering you VIP access? Whatever the case may be. So I think the friction for us was, building some muscles and looking around and understanding that the solution didn't already exist, and so we need to go build it. And again, I think as a non-technology company, I think we needed to become one in many respects. But the way we do that, I think, is through powerful partnerships.
Yes. And you mentioned something very specifically about user experience. And I think regardless of what technology is there, the user experience is the thing that has to be foremost in the front of mind, because ultimately that is what the user is interacting with and that is what matters to them. And so one of the things that is an observation I've had about Red Bull is, despite being a technology company, you all have a lot of brand recognition because you win, yes, but also because of the experience. And you all spend so much time thinking about the end user, the fan, and the people who support the team. So when thinking about these objectives that are top of mind for you, can you speak a little bit about what made Sui interesting as you were deciding, okay, we're going to get deeper and deeper into this blockchain journey that y'all are on?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, kind of twofold. I think Sui have been really, really great for us as a partner so far for a multitude of reasons. I think from a partnership perspective, there's been a really clear understanding straight off the bat of creativity, looking at understanding mutual objectives, trying to understand who we're trying to reach and why, and really understanding that end user and the fan that we're trying to speak to and trying to talk to. We've had a ton of really creative workshops. You guys are set up really nicely to help support, whether it's on the dev side or on that kind of ideation point of view. But you mentioned it earlier. We dropped last year our Champions NFT with Sui, and we had multiple hundreds of thousands of users that did come in and claim that, and that's testament to the fact that there's super fast transactions on Sui. The way that we worked with you guys, we said, hey, look, this audience that we're talking to don't necessarily really understand this world. We need a really frictionless experience. And we were talking about, single email logins to be able to come and collect your NFTs. And that was something that it just aligned the goals there, because we were saying we can't build this really, really complex technical setup for whether it's a login or a wallet creation or whatever that might be. We need this to feel seamless and be super, super quick. And that was something that Sui were like, yeah, brilliant, that's what we can do and that's what we can deliver. And we aligned those two objectives really, really early, and it helped to ensure that process was a successful one. And it's more of that I want to see really in terms of how the relationship progresses, because we both understand the goals that we're trying to achieve. And I think we found some great ways of doing that. And if last year, is anything to look at, then this year we'll certainly build on some of that success.
Big facts. So we know that you all are dedicated on pushing your journey in blockchain. What other sort of hopes and aspirations do you have for the work that your team is doing?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I look at the full fan engagement team, and our vision is to deliver the best fan engagement experience in the entertainment industry in a way that only Red Bull Racing can. So for us, that's about marrying the global brand of Red Bull that I've spoken about with the kind of the reach and the growth of F1. So for us, in terms of what we want to deliver more of and what we want to see in our team's work, it's always about ensuring we are continuing to meet that goal and that vision of being the best within not just sports, but the entertainment industry. So we're looking at, we'll of course look at other teams on the grid. We'd look at the NBA, and we'll look at teams and see what they're doing. We'll look at the NFL, but we'll also look at Disney or Marvel or Netflix. How are they talking to their audience, and how are they engaging with fans? We always want to be continuing to push that barrier and do it in a way that's authentic to us as Red Bull and Red Bull Racing. And we kind of have a bit of a litmus test. If any of my team are coming and they're presenting ideas or putting forward a campaign, we'll look at it really objectively and say, okay, brilliant, but if this was in red, could it be done by Ferrari? Or if it was orange, could it be McLaren? And if the answer is yes, it's not good enough for what we want to deliver. It's not authentically Red Bull. So when we're looking at the future of the team's work and what we want to achieve, for me, it's about recognizing that it's high performing in terms of that entertainment industry. Is this going to cut through? Is it new? And does it feel really authentic to us and who we are and our brand values? So I want to make sure that the work that we do as a team continues to sort of hit those objectives.
I just felt like if you figured out how to win a little bit more, it would help.
We'll certainly keep trying.
Jesus. They don't lose.
We missed one race last year from top spot, so
be better.
Yeah.
Same question for you. How do
future work? Yeah. So similar objective a key objective we have is creating world-class experiences for fans and future fans. And so I think world-class experience can be when you arrive, but it also could be, again, every moment that you can touch our brand in any way of that journey. How do we create a world-class experience? And so going back to the initial question, I think we have to continue to be digital first because, again, 99%, right? So we will continue to be digital first. And I think what we have to do is continue to hone in and understand, again, where our fans are, who they are, what they want, when they want it, and really continue to move fans and future fans down the journey from I'm a fan to high level of engagement, ultimately to loyalty, right? And then I would say recognize and reward that loyalty. And I think if you can get to that point, and really, and then by reward, I also mean how do we bring our product to them, right? And I think again, this next generation puts a lot of capital on experience, right? They more so than tangible things. They actually want experiences, and so I think that's our opportunity is to play into their loyalty, recognize reward with experience.
Okay. Well, my last question for you was going to be, what do fans have to look forward to? But I think you just told us what they have.
Fans can look forward to hopefully more championships.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, I don't know. This is a unique stat. I actually learned this not too long ago. Was that the NBA is the number one betted on handle in the world, and I think it has to do with the number of games that. And then the Warriors, it's us and the Lakers, one or two in every major market. We're the number one or number two highest bet team in the world. So going back to your question is, I hope that our fans are looking forward to sports betting in California at some point, and that will we just see engagement go through the roof. And so we're betting on it.
Nice.
My brother.
See what you did there. Yeah, for us, I guess it's when we're talking about this kind of digital first world, we know that once we've launched something, it's probably already out of date. There's new developments, there's new technology always coming in. So we do talk to our fans a lot. We try to understand what more they want, what they're looking for, what are they seeing elsewhere that they want to see more of. And we've also built a bit of an unofficial network of fans on Discord as well. We have a bit of a two-way conversation with some of our highest engaged users, so we can bounce some ideas off them as well. But we've got tons in the kind of roadmap for this year and for looking into next year as well. There's some big developments that we've got on our web property in both the Web 2 and actually in the Web 3 space of that. So we're looking forward to launching our new site in the next month or so. A lot more interactive, a lot more Red Bull. That's going to feel really nice when we get that off the ground. And then building on the success, I guess, of the Champions NFT that we dropped last year, there's a lot in the works that we're wanting to deliver with Sui on the blockchain. So can't say too much about it yet, but super excited about some of the plans that we have in place there. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And I think continuously, like throughout the year, we don't just wait for the start of a new season to develop something. There's a lot of product development that we've got coming up just as and when throughout the season. And maybe to echo your point, fingers crossed, hopefully there's some more successes that fans can look forward to as well.
Incredible. Well, again, Mike, Caroline, thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sae'von.
Thank you all for making the time, and let's give them a round of applause.
Thanks very much.